Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are looking at a court filing that really reads less like a legal document and more like a declaration of war against specific police officers.
It's truly something else. We're unpacking a filing from Chester County, Tennessee, called a Notice of Imminent Threat and Motion for Protective Order.
And the person who filed it, Josiah Haltom, doesn't even call himself a defendant. He uses the title, what is it? Divine Witness and Witness to Structural Violence.
Exactly. And our mission today is to figure out the basis for his claim. He says he's facing an imminent retaliatory attack from two specific officers of the Henderson Police Department. I mean, you just don't see a defense strategy this aggressive.
Okay, so let's unpack that. He was arrested back in September 2025. How does he spin that into a case of, First Amendment retaliation?
Well, see, that's the core of his argument. He claims the whole thing started because he was trying to report a crime counterfeit currency specifically.
So he was the one trying to be a good citizen.
That's his claim. He argues the arrest that followed wasn't real police work, but was a punishment for him speaking out. He's alleging it was retaliation under color of law, meaning the officers misused their official power.
So he reports a crime and ends up in cuffs for something else entirely.
Yeah.
What's the specific technical flaw he's using to try and blow up their case?
It's incredibly specific, and this is really the nugget you need to grasp. The probable cause for his arrest, he says, was based entirely on a visual guess, a visual inspection.
A visual guess,
Yeah.
not forensics.
Zero forensics at the scene. He's saying that because it was just a subjective opinion, the arrest wasn't legitimate, it was a pretext.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because he's not just defending himself, he's escalating. He demands something he calls restorative forensic accounting.
And a sunlight protocol. I mean, he's basically demanding maximum transparency, which, would directly threaten the careers of the officers involved if he's right.
So, in his mind, that pressure creates a new danger.
Yeah. Exactly. He argues it leads to escalation and neutralization of the threat. Which brings us to the next question. Why does he think an attack is imminent? Like, right now?
He says the visual inspection pretext is repeatable, right?
It's a repeatable pretext. It's like a loaded weapon the officers can just, pull out and use again at any moment to justify another arrest.
And the timing is critical. Something about the elimination of buffer. His public defender resigned, just out of the blue.
It is. Haltom claims that without a sworn officer of the court there to act as a witness, as an intermediary, he's completely exposed. He calls it a perilous vacuum.
Okay, so he's most vulnerable right now, before he can get what he calls the unfiltered scale of truth onto the official record.
He's making himself a threat to opacity, and he thinks he'll be silenced before he can speak.
So what does he ask the judge to do? He basically argues the court has to step in to protect its own process from official lawlessness.
He puts the court in a corner. He says if you let these officers operate with this same flawed pretext, the court itself becomes complicit in a continuing denial of due process.
That's a huge claim. But the protection he asks for, the relief, is even crazier. He's asking for a custom-made shield.
Oh, it's audacious. He demands a protective order. It would prohibit those two specific officers from stopping, searching, or arresting him unless one of two sort of extraordinary conditions is met.
Okay, what are they?
First, they'd need a warrant based on independently verified probable cause that is completely unrelated to any visual inspection of botanical material. He's taking their original pretext off the table.
And the second one?
The second is even wilder. Or they can act if there's an immediate objective threat to public safety. But it has to be witnessed by a third party who is not affiliated with the Henderson Police Department.
Wow. So he's literally asking for an independent chaperone just to be pulled over. He's making it almost impossible for them to act without supervision.
And for his final move, he tells the clerk of court to file the whole thing with a cover sheet that explicitly says retaliatory prosecution and threat to witness.
So this filing, it isn't a defense, it's a counterattack. It gives you a really clear roadmap for how a defense built on systemic critique can work.
And that gets us to this idea he mentions over, reciprocal moral gravity.
Right. He's demanding that the judge and the system view the threat the officers pose to him with the same seriousness as the crime he's accused of.
So here's the final thought for you to mull on. What does it really mean when a citizen demands that the system hold itself to the very same standard of accountability that it demands from him?